told your friend you're not okay.
Guys, K-pop news is back with news that's making your timelines tremble. Since last night, global timelines have been filled with one big question: is Vogue Japan really preparing something monumental, and is Taeyong's name at the center of it? In just a few hours, this discussion has become one of the hottest topics in the fashion and K-pop communities. And believe it or not, it all stems from a short, few-second video that feels a little too quiet, but that's precisely where its appeal lies. From the moment Vogue Japan uploaded the visual teaser, which felt very cinematic yet intentionally left empty without any clear clues, the public immediately understood that there was something much bigger than just a cover announcement. The teaser seemed like an open-ended puzzle, minimalist color composition, barely audible ambient sound, and an atmosphere that felt like the opening scene of an art house film. And precisely because there were no names or faces, public curiosity was heightened. In a short caption accompanying the post, Vogue Japan wrote that the cover and cover story of the February 2026 issue would be revealed on December 24th at 10 a.m. local time. This information sounds simple, but for those who follow Vogue's release schedule, such a detailed schedule is unusual. Typically, Vogue simply drops the cover without much announcement. But this time, everything played out like a well-planned campaign, complete with release dates for follow-up content. Even before the public had time to process the schedule, a wave of speculation erupted from various online communities. International fanbase accounts, fashion aggregators, and even K-pop news accounts, usually very cautious about making claims, suddenly began mentioning one name: Kim Taehyung. What's interesting isn't just that Taeyong is suspected of being the cover star, but how the information spread. The pattern was incredibly rapid. It was as if the entire internet community was suddenly on the same wavelength. Within hours, the discussion shifted from "who is this?" to "if this is Taeyong, what will his concept be like?" Meanwhile, Vogue Japan maintained its strategy of total silence. No names, no clear silhouettes, no visual clues to identify the cover. This is what made things even more heated. Usually, when Vogue wants to lower expectations, they'll give a hint. But not this time. The teaser only shows the atmosphere, not the object. And when a publication as large as Vogue chooses atmosphere over information, it's a signal that the material to be released will be highly curated. December 24th is increasingly being considered National Reveal Day, especially since it coincides with the holiday season. At a time when online intensity is at its peak, this content release schedule is clearly not a random decision. Vogue knows that global attention is at its peak, and they've placed the cover reveal right in the middle of it. Another interesting aspect is the release schedule for additional content. Vogue announced that commentary content will air on December 25th, a format that typically includes explanations of editorial themes, creative thinking, or personal messages from the cover star. Then, on December 27th, the public will receive a behind-the-scenes video, which typically shows the dynamics behind the photo shoot, the photographer's direction, the mood set, the wardrobe selection, and even the natural interactions not seen in the final image. This series of content demonstrates that the February 2026 issue is more than just an ordinary issue. It's built like a full-fledged campaign, layer by layer, day by day. Afterward, on December 29th, Vogue Japan scheduled a YouTube teaser, extending the campaign's lifespan so that it continues to resonate well into the new year. This demonstrates that after the cover release, the story doesn't end. There's a sequel, like a series released episode by episode. Amidst all of Vogue's meticulous strategy, rumors about Taeyong continue to flow. Many fans see a connection to Vogue's previous pattern of frequently collaborating with global music figures, especially when those figures possess strong visual appeal and a proven track record in the fashion world. And Taeyong, over the years, has built a reputation as one of the most prominent visual icons of his generation. Every time Taeyong appears on the cover of a global magazine, the public response is always the same: soaring demand that the magazine often runs out of stock. Editorials involving him almost always turn into digital events, where the conversation is not only about the photos, but also how he interprets visual concepts, how his eye is combined with artistic tones, and how certain styling represents his creative persona. However, as December 24th approached, the mood in the global community became far more intense than before. What initially began as light speculation from fans slowly snowballed into a full-blown discussion involving fashion influencers, entertainment journalists, and even photographers who regularly work for high-fashion brands. The curiosity seemed to be allowed to grow, and Vogue Japan seemed to be deliberately providing the space for the discussion to flow unfettered. Some fashion analysts even began discussing patterns that might point to Taeyong. They highlighted the fact that Vogue Japan typically chooses artists who are in a crucial phase of their careers to grace its early year cover. And in Taeyong's case, despite his mandatory military service, his influence in the fashion world hasn't diminished at all. In fact, it's even become more of a topic of conversation, as every trace of his pre-military visuals still serves as a reference for many modern editorials. On social media, there were lengthy discussions about how Vogue would execute the concept of its February issue if Taeyong were indeed the cover star. Some predicted a minimalist approach with a focus on the face, something Vogue Japan often does for special editions. Some also speculated that the concept would involve a play of shadows and textures, given Taeyong's photography style, which often emphasizes emotional depth through the play of light. Meanwhile, stylists began discussing possible wardrobe choices. Global fashion houses like Celine, Cartier, and Louis Vuitton came up several times in discussions, though they remained largely predictable. Each such discussion proved that the narrative surrounding Vogue Japan's February issue wasn't just about who would appear, but about how the entire creative world would interpret an image that hadn't even been released yet. In the final few days before the reveal, public interaction intensified. Hashtags related to Vogue Japan and Taeyong began trending in several countries. Many accounts even created a countdown together, a kind of digital ritual that demonstrated the collective enthusiasm of thousands of people waiting for something unconfirmed. Interestingly, Vogue Japan itself remained silent. This silence only fueled public curiosity. Because when a major media outlet chooses not to quash rumors, it means they know the effect will only increase momentum. Some media observers call this strategy silent pressure building, where the audience is given enough information to create hope, but not enough to satisfy their curiosity. In situations like this, the public automatically constructs its own narrative, and that's exactly what's happening across social platforms. Amidst this wave of discussion, armies have begun to develop small theories about how Taeyong's position in this Vogue editorial could indicate something bigger. Some speculate that this is Vogue's tribute to Taeyong's magnetism as a global fashion icon unaffected by distance or his absence from public activity in recent months. Others see it as a symbol of how Taeyong's influence operates independently, even without his presence. His name can still fuel a major campaign. Indeed, the fact that this rumor could spread so widely without confirmation is further proof that Taeyong possesses a magnetism that many celebrities lack. He doesn't speak, doesn't appear, doesn't give any indication, yet the conversation about him can move freely, relentlessly. Meanwhile, discussions about Vogue Japan's content release schedule are also growing. Many believe that the spacing between content, December 24, 25, 27, and 29, is Vogue's way of building measured momentum. If Taeyong does indeed appear on the cover, the public will receive a gradual narrative. Final photo, cover. Concept explanation, commentary. Creative process, behind the scenes. Further teaser, YouTube video teaser. This series of 4 stages is like a journey that takes the public from the final result, to the story, to the process, and finally to further promotion. And each stage has its own appeal. One thing is certain. This campaign was successful even before it even began.